Terrific, the Chevrolet way. See and try the new Camaro at your Chevrolet dealers today.
Camaro.
One of the questions our group gets asked most commonly is, what about Firebird number 1 and number 2? Although these cars are significant by themselves and showcased in a wonderful museum, they are not pre-production pilot prototypes. By the end of 1964, General Motors was already looking for an answer to the infamous Ford Mustang.
Two-dimensional drawings must be translated into three-dimensional clay models. In the case of the XP 836, it is decided to go to a full-size clay mock-up.
While this is going on, mock-ups of parts and components are fitted into a wooden framework of the F-car.
This began the early design studies that would continue under the XP 836 program, utilizing non-working prototype models until the winter of 1965 and 1966.
On a full-scale fiberglass model. It won't run, but it looks enough like the real thing to fool an expert.
Although General Motors' focus for new car programs turned away from Pontiac and focused on Chevrolet in the early years of that decade, Pontiac was on board for the F-car program for a brief period in 1965. After careful reflection, Pontiac chose to pursue a new car of their own. It would be a two-seat challenger to the Corvette, and they began the initial design studies under the XP 833 Banshee program. In the spring of 1966, General Motors decided to stop the momentum of this program, not wishing to dilute the sales of the Corvette by allowing Pontiac to compete directly with the Corvette product line. In April of 1966, Pontiac's engineers and stylists were asked by General Motors to review the XP 836 design study that would ultimately be known as the F-car or the Camaro. They reviewed the modeling studies of the non-working prototype models, as well as the aesthetically modified test mules utilizing the Chevy 2 X-car as donors. With the XP 836 design studies entering into the test phase of manufacturing processes and the creation of working prototypes that could be tested at the Milford Proving Grounds,
Prototypes that do run are next on the schedule. Time for the showdown.
this manufacturing platform involved far less risk. It was decided that Pontiac designers would be able to alter the lines for their own hood, grille, front bumper, and rear taillights, as well as minor cosmetic ornaments within the interior. These were the primary focuses of Pontiac, while the F-car pilot prototypes were being assembled and tested between May and June of 1966 by Chevrolet.
I think the big thing about the Camaro is its roadability. You feel a real sense of positive control with this car. It does what you want it to, when you want it to.
These prototypes were assembled by hand and one at a time, utilizing prototype and pilot parts. The fitment, quality control, and time studies for the pre-production manufacturing process would lead to the mass creation of parts necessary for assembly line production. Pontiac utilized all the completed work for the XP 836 design program, as well as the information gleaned from the pre-production F-car pilot prototype study. Once the fitment of the slightly modified sheet metal and the cosmetic ornaments were ascertained, mass production was ready. This portion of Pontiac's involvement with the prototype program occurred with N1000014 after its preliminary completion within the pilot prototype program. And as documented before, these portions of the design study would have been very crude on the part of Pontiac. These minor changes that would be unique to the Firebird were then handed off to engineering for vendor involvement and mass production readiness. Consequently, Firebird number 1 and number 2 were assembled in a mass assembly line format, approximately 7 months after the creation of N100001, the first of the working F-car pilot prototypes.
Get one!